everybody, welcome to this video. I'm going to be calling the 15-minute mentor, where I'm going to take a little bit more, a little bit less than 15 minutes on this morning drive with you and bring you some business insights, some tips, some tricks. I wish somebody could have been my 15-minute mentor back in the day when I was starting my journey here. And here's the thing, if you like this video, I might turn it into a series or something like that. So they're going to be very raw, super chill, unedited videos. Basically, I just want you to feel like you just jumped in the car with me here and just chilled and picked my brain and got some insight. So that's what this video is all about. In today's video, I'm going to be talking with you about the importance of thinking bigger, of dreaming bigger in your goals, in your business, in your finances. And it comes out of Genesis chapter 2, I believe it was, where God blessed Adam and Eve. It said that he blessed them. And then the next thing that God says to them is he says, be fruitful and add. Is that what God said? No, God said be fruitful and multiply. How many of you know that everything that God does is not by addition only, it's by multiplication? See, the only limitation in our lives when it comes to our finances, when it comes to our business, when it comes to life in general, the only limitation that we have is this thing right here. It's our mindset. And for whatever reason, most people, when they think of growing, when they think of scaling, when they think of like, I want to add more income to my current income, or I want to add a new stream, they're only thinking in double, right? Like, how can I double what I'm doing? Or like, man, if I could just get a little bit more. And that's not God's way. God said, no. I want you to not think in addition. I want you to think in multiplication. This is God's way. Think about it. Everything in God's creation, like when an apple tree bears fruit, it doesn't do like one apple in the first season, and then 2 apples in the next season, and then 3 apples in the next season. No, God's creation blooms, and then the next season it blooms even more with even more fruit, and then the next season even more fruit. It grows in multiplication. So that's how God has set up creation. That's what he expects from you and I. He expects us to be fruitful and multiply. Well, Rick, it's really hard. I'm struggling right now. Tell that to the fig tree. Remember Jesus, he came up to the fig tree and the fig tree was out of season and the fig tree was like having a rough time. It was really hard out there for the fig tree. And Jesus says, yo, I want some fruit. And the fig tree like didn't have any fruit. And then Jesus cursed the fig tree. Why? Because in all seasons, somebody in the comments drop these words, all seasons, in all seasons, God expects for us not just to be in addition. He doesn't expect for us to go backwards. In all seasons, God expects for us to be fruitful and multiply. Okay, so that is the context of what I want to talk to you about today. And when it comes to our business, when it comes to our finances, when it comes to growing our wealth, for not just for us, but for our children, for our children's children, because Proverbs tells us that a righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Okay, so when it comes to setting our goals, setting our dreams, setting our expectations, stop thinking in addition. Start pursuing multiplication. And one of the best ways that you can do this is to begin to, let's say that your goal is like, man, I just want to double whatever I'm doing right now. Okay, that's a small goal. That's a limited thinking goal. What you should do is you should set your expectations to be 10x of where they currently are now.
Hey, I really hope that you're enjoying the video. I want to invite you guys. I have recently created a free training teaching people how to make money online. My students are literally making anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a month, and some of them even make hundreds of thousands of dollars, not in a year, but in a single day. If you want more information on how you can get started, all you need is a phone and a laptop. You can go to digitalproductacademy.org, or you can click the link below in the description. Guys, after you watch the free training, if it sounds like it might be something cool for you to check out, you can book a free call with one of my client success coaches, and they'll be able to help you more. Now, back to the video.
So let's say you make 100K a year. Your dream should not be like, how can I make 150? How can I make 200? Your goal should be, how can I make $1 million a year? And I know before you like start thinking like, that's impossible. That's the point. That is the point of setting your dreams, your goals, your expectations to the point of impossibility. Because let me submit this idea to you, okay? I say it like this: 10x is easier than 2x. It's easier to grow exponentially than it is to grow incrementally. Okay, what does that mean? When you are setting your goals, your expectations at just growing a little bit or doubling, right? Like, I wish I could just double. The mindset, the frame that you begin to try to process those goals through is one of, if I'm going to double, how do I double? Or if I'm going to add just a little bit, how do I do that? Well, I guess I have to do more of what I'm already doing. And the problem is that if you just do more of what you're already doing, okay, you're only going to grow very, very slowly. But if you set your goal to this place of like impossibility, in my case, I like to set them 10x, 10 times more than what I think I could do. When your goal is set at a 10x, okay, now you can no longer think of like, well, maybe I just do more to get there. No, like if you're trying to 10x, it's going to take a whole different idea, a whole different creativity, a whole different mindset to get you from where you are to where you desire to be at that 10x level. Okay, so you gotta, when you set your goals, when you set your dreams bigger, not into addition, but into multiplication, it allows you to begin to think in a completely different mindset. You have to use new creative muscles. You have to think new thoughts. You have to dream new dreams in order to go to that 10x. And I was coaching one of my students on this recently, and they're like, well, Rick, and they were a believer, and they're like, well, Rick, does God really want us to 10x? I said, I don't know. Ask Daniel. Ask Daniel and his friends. Daniel chapter 1, verse 8, the Bible says that Daniel and his friends, they chose to not defile themselves. And because they chose to have upright hearts, AKA they chose to walk in integrity and character, okay? They chose to live by God's ways. Because of this, God raised them up to be 10 times better 10 times better than all the magicians and the sorcerers and the soothsayers and basically all of like the earthly wisdom guys and gals who were in that political sphere. God said, no, because they chose to not defile themselves, I'm going to raise them up 10 times better. Guys, think about this. Like, God is calling us. God is expecting of us to not just try to add a little bit at a time. Like, for whatever reason, especially, now I'm talking to believers on here, for whatever reason, believers think that the way that God wants you to grow is just a little bit at a time. But God's saying, I expect multiplication, be fruitful and multiply. I want you to become 10 times better than anyone in your industry, than anyone in your niche, than anyone who does what you do. Why don't you pursue the 10x, the 10 times better, not for selfish gain, but because you chose to do it out of integrity and character? That was your positioning. And God says, man, I like that. Let me put a 10x grace upon your life. So when it comes to your business, when it comes to your finances, okay, whatever you're doing right now, whether you're working at a 9 to 5, maybe you're trying to start your business, whatever that is, I want you to begin to dream bigger, okay? Like, here's a couple of stories for you, okay? My wife and I, even back, a lot of you guys and gals know this, I come from missions world, worship world, ministry world, and even in those days, okay, people come up to us all the time like, Rick, how are you guys doing this? This is crazy. Like, how are you doing the level of stuff that you're doing? And honestly, it's just because we would set expectations and goals 10 times bigger than what we thought we could do. Like, in every single area, like in the finances, in the impact, whatever we were doing, we're always like, how can we just blow this out of the water? Why? Because here's the cool part about setting your vision, your goals, your dreams, your expectations 10 times bigger than what you think you can do. Okay, one of the cool things about that is let's say you don't achieve the 10x goal and you quote unquote fall short and you only 6x. My gosh, like 6x is way better than just 2x or doubling, right? So whenever you set these gigantic goals and these gigantic dreams, these huge visions for your life, for your business, for your finances, even if you fall short, you're going to do way better than what you would have done just trying to double. And think about that. Think about that. Like in our ministry, we would make, you know, humongous impacts with a very small team. 79 nations, 79. And not just like I went to 79 nations once, we went to many of those nations dozens and dozens of times. Like, why? Because my goal at the time, and maybe I'll still fulfill this in the future, but my goal at the time was I want to go to every single nation and I want to worship over every single nation. Now, in that 15-year span, I got to 79. Like, I didn't get to all 200 nations, but I got to 79. Like, that's pretty amazing, right? So what I want to encourage you, and that's just one story of a bunch of different ideas, right? I want to encourage you this, okay? Here's one more story. So when I started my first business, this was probably, well, my first business I started when I was 15 with my friend in Vegas when I was growing up. But my first real actual business where I was like really doing it, okay, was probably 8 or 9 years ago. And when I started the business, my thought was, man, if we could just do like $3,000 a month, that would be insane. If we could just make an extra $3,000 to $5,000 a month, I would be so happy. I would be so content. I would not know what to do with myself because that would be amazing. And then of course my wife is like, why are we gonna just try to do $3,000 a month? Like, why don't we try to do $30,000 a month? And I was like, that's crazy. That's impossible. And she's like, what? That's not impossible. We should push for $30,000 a month. And I was like, well, maybe we should push for $30,000 a month. So our goal at the time, my limited thinking was, man, if I could just get $3,000 a month. Then we set our goal to $30,000 a month. And can I tell y'all this? In the first 6 months of starting our first business, because we were pushing, and only because I was pushing for $30,000 a month, like it gave me a little bit more hustle, a little bit more like I gotta push, because our goal was set to $30,000 a month. Initially it's gonna be 3. In the first 6 months of launching my first business, we made $900,000. 900. So here's the other cool part about setting your goal, your dream, your vision, your expectation to 10x, because yes, sometimes you might, not hit the target, and instead of hitting 10x, you might hit 6x or 5x or 7x or whatever it is. You're still doing better. But guess what? If you set your goal to 10x, sometimes you might surpass it. What? You might even surpass that goal of 10x sometimes, just like I did in my first business. And instead of making $30,000 a month, we made $900,000 in the first 6 months. So why am I saying all this, okay? I am saying all of this to encourage you guys and gals this morning that you need to stop playing small. You need to stop playing safe, and you need to stop thinking in addition. You need to start thinking in multiplication. You need to learn how to play bigger. And the only way you can play bigger, okay, the only way that you can grow exponentially is to set your goals, your dreams, your vision in life, in business, in finances, wherever, 10 times bigger. 10 times bigger. God is not just calling us to addition. He's not saying, hey, let your apple tree produce 1 fruit this season, and then 2 fruits next season, and then 3 fruits next season. He's not saying that. He's saying, I want you to be fruitful and multiply in every single area. Well, Rick, what if I grow too fast? That would be an amazing problem to have, because I would rather grow too fast and then allow Jesus, the gardener, to have to prune me back a little bit so that I could grow even more in the next season than trying to grow incrementally, 1 here, plus 1 here, plus 1 there. So I want to encourage you. I know if you're watching this video, and especially if you've made it this far in this video, okay, you feel called to more. You know that you're called to more. You know that you want greatness. You know that you desire to have your life go to the next level. Then stop playing small. Stop thinking small. Your only limitation is your mindset. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. You guys and gals know it most of the time. It's quoted by, be transformed by the renewal of your mind. I love that. That's awesome. Okay. I like the NLT where it says, let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. If you want real transformation, in any area of your life, you got to start thinking about it differently. Okay. And one of the ways that I start thinking about, my transformation differently is I just dream bigger. I set my goals to 10x, right? I set my goals to at least 10x. And then from that point, I'm not able to process in the old way of thinking. I have to process with new creativity, new ideas, new solutions, because let me say it like this. What got you here is not going to get you there. Something that I always tell my students is this: the old patterns don't work in the new season. Okay? If you feel called to this new season and it's time for you to level up, especially in your business and your finances and your life, the way that you're going to do that is not by doing more of what you already know. You're going to have to think bigger, dream bigger. Okay? 10x is easier than 2x. By the way, there's a fantastic book about this, okay? I'm so glad that this book came out. I have no affiliation whatsoever. Look at that sunlight. I've got no affiliation with this book whatsoever. But after my wife and I spent years of kind of living in this concept already as it was, a book recently came out by a guy named Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and it's actually called 10x is easier than 2x. And they give a lot of really great language and insight on this very subject. So let me know down in the comments if you guys would like me to turn this into a series, the 15-minute mentor. Let me know down in the comments if you got any inspiration from this. And then also let me know down in the comments if you would like to see more like this. I guess I just said that. Guys, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next training. Peace.